So we have the start of episode 6. The rebels are still advancing. Ewell's corps is keeping up the pressure both on the right flank and the left flank and trying to capture as many retreating Union troops as possible. And rebels just sighting artillery here on the right flank. Some opportunity fire by the Union forces still on Bowers Hill. Here we have John Jones' brigade, who is on the extreme rebel right and that's of Johnson's division. He is in charge of attacking down the Front Royal Turnpike into Winchester. The Rebel Turn 15 finally sees the elimination of the 13th Pennsylvania Cavalry that has been completely cut off from Milroy's command. And the final Rebel attack completely annihilates and captures the remaining cavalry. The 13th bravely did what they could to slow the Rebel advance, but from a gaming perspective, the sacrifice of the cavalry probably would have been better off if the Union side could have done it with infantry, just because the point differential is so much larger between cavalry and infantry. For now, the Union line holds. 2 units undisrupt and 1 unit rallies. This will be really important for Milroy, as he can now try to retreat some more units back and quicker. Here's the casualties list so far in the battle. As you can see, Union casualties approach about 1,000 total casualties, and the Rebel casualties are about 640. But as you can see, the points, because of the 13th Pennsylvania Cavalry getting eliminated, point total of almost 1,100 against the Union. So being in a situation where you have to sacrifice cavalry or need to use them in frontline situations in these Civil War battles can be really costly to your points. And here we have the strength dialogue showing the Army of the Potomac at a strength of 6,200, which is just the troops under Milroy right now. The decision has been made to abandon the position at Bowers Hill and try to maybe retreat back to these main fort positions northwest of Winchester. The Union keeps retreating their routed units. Still got a couple units that are routing and need to get back to safety The real hard part for the Union commander here is that these routed units are D or E quality troops that will not easily pass morale checks. The Union commander is retreating off this hill right there. That's the Bowers Hill position that Milroy doesn't even want to try to hold any longer, which is the wise decision. So right here, the 18th Connecticut tries to form into column to retreat down the road quicker. But in the attempt to, it gets fired upon and disrupts easily because they're equality troops, and that is going to slow their advance down even more. Now they're a liability. These are the two Union brigades that are trying to hold the Valley Turnpike, Ely and Elliott. And now, instead of just falling back even further, the brigades have to protect this battalion that has been disrupted the best they can, which can leave the rest of the units a little bit vulnerable. And the commanders try to figure out the best way to protect this battalion. So these other battalions are pulling in closer together, which will help protect the battalion, but now they'll be more vulnerable to their flanks. And more units disintegrating before Milroy's eyes. And look what we have here. We have reinforcements for the rebels. Let's check out what has arrived on the field. Definitely not looking good for the Union commander. Everything looking really good for Ewell here in this scenario. So this is Daniel's Brigade of Rhodes Division from White Sulphur Springs, and in a very good position to cut off Milroy's entire force. from retreating. Let's zoom out and take a closer look at where Daniels is positioned compared to the rest of the force. So that's Winchester on the south of the map, and Milroy's Union force should be further south than that. So if Daniels Brigade crosses over to the Winchester and Potomac Railroad, all the way to the Valley Turnpike, then he could cut off their line of retreat. In a really good position right now. So there is a victory hex here for the rebels to take, owned by the Union side right now. If the rebels took that now, that would turn into a rebel flag and would tip off the Union commander. If this wasn't a solitaire game, that could tip off a live opponent. If that were to change, they would see that and realize, oh, I've got rebel troops in my rear. So one suggestion is to try not to take that objective if you still feel like you have the element of surprise. So Daniels Brigade will move around the objective hex as to not tip off the Union opponent. So using the line of sight feature, if I click on the Union batteries here, I can see what their line of sight is. Again, very good for the game to kind of look at those things. How realistic that was. I mean, no general in real life could have been able to do that back then and figure out that, hey, if I take this route, I won't be sighted by those guns way over yonder. Plus the Daniels Brigade over here on the eastern edge of the map. I mean, supposedly he could send couriers to Ewell's headquarters saying, hey, I've arrived on the field. So the coordination here would be really good for the player to do. Much better than probably you could have done in the real Civil War time. So we have two choices for Daniels Brigade. One is to march towards the Valley Turnpike to cut off Milroy, or two, to march towards Winchester and link up with the rest of Ewell's corps. So we'll generate a number here, 1 to 2, 1 being the first choice, 2 being the second choice. And there it is. Stayed at 1. They will Daniels Brigade will march towards the Valley Turnpike. Early's division continues to send a cavalry detachment on the flank of the Union forces. Here we have Gordon's brigade moving in to get into position to attack the Union forces guarding the Valley Turnpike. So Early is going to keep putting pressure on the retreating Union troops. And not just Early's division, but Ewell's entire corps. Johnson and Early are attacking in force here. And always remember to check your command and control radius. You want to keep your brigade commanders in command of your brigade troops, your brigade commanders under your, and so on and so forth. Union forces are putting some hurt on the rebel attack here. Some good volleys by the defending Union troops. So the rebel troopers tried to get some fire on this Union battalion, and it'll be a rear shot of shots to try to get them to rout. Here's a look at the casualties so far. As you can see, the cavalry losses for the Union side are racking up a lot of points for the rebels. Ewell will get his 2nd Corps troops back in order here. These troops that are back in the rear after they had assaulted the lone Pennsylvania regiment that was left behind. They'll need to reorganize before they can make a final push onto Winchester. rebels now use Pritchard's Hill as a platform for their artillery fire. Smith's brigade of Early's division, keeping with the plan of trying to keep getting around the Union flank, changes in the column to utilize the road movement here. And Jones's Virginia Brigade keeps pressure on the Union left. So if we look at the reinforcement schedule for the rebels, we see that Rhodes's entire division starts arriving onto the field. and Daniel's brigade was the lead element of that reinforcement. So the decision stays with Ewell ordering Rhodes' division to march on the Valley Turnpike and an attempt to cut off a possible retreat route for Milroy's Union troops.